if you were going to pedal,
Yeah.
and I said, let go of the bars, would you headbutt the stem?
Welcome back to the videos. We're back with something a little bit different today. Everybody has seen there's a lot of bike fit content out there on the internet about how to get comfortable on the bike, but they all make one big mistake. They're all for men. So we're back at UK Bike Fit today, and I've brought my wife Dani, and we're here to get a bike fit specifically for females. And we've got rid of Dan, and we've brought in Sian, and she's gonna give Dani a bike fit today. If you're a man, don't tune out. It would be good for us to all get a little bit more education around this kind of stuff. And so yeah, we're gonna get inside and you're gonna get a bike fit.
Can we?
So if you want to get into your cycling stuff for me, we're just going to do like a pre-assessment first. So just look at like flexibility, joint range of motion, movement patterns like spine flexion, like arch movement and stuff like that. So if you just want to lay on your back with your head that way for me. Is that pulling there just a bit?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Anything in the glutes or the lower back, or is it just hamstrings?
Just hamstrings mainly, yeah.
Cool. We tend to find that women tend to have a few more, like a bit more mobile hips anyway.
Yeah.
Not always, but it's like a general trend. But hamstring flexibility, you've got plenty of.
Great.
I mean, my partner can only get to about here. So, yes, you can jump on the bike. Just put some stickers and stuff on you. No. Sit in a position I would normally sit in, but it's not going to spit you in a circle.
Are you finding it so far?
Good, yeah. I definitely feel discomfort in a few areas. So I'm excited to see the changes that we can make to just make it overall more comfortable for me.
So these blue lines here are through the centre of your feet at the bottom of the pedal stroke, and ideally what we'd want to see would be for your knee to track directly up and down that blue line.
Okay.
We can see that maybe your right knee does fall slightly inside of that line.
Yeah.
And same on the other side. You can see the other side pretty much tracks inside that blue line the whole way.
Yeah.
The good thing is what we're not getting is the knee come up and then like collapsing. Sometimes that collapse can be like an arch thing. Sometimes a roll can be like the hip flexors being tight. So saddle height, we're definitely low.
Okay.
You can see here how much of a bend there is in your knee.
Yeah.
You've got so much more. It's wasted power that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are pushed to bring your feet in already, kind of that in position. So what I'll do is I'll set them neutral, see how it presents when the cleats are set, like neutral in the middle, and then see whether we need to then push to the left or to the right or anything like that. So this black line here is the pedal axle, and then obviously this is the base of your little toe, so your fifth met. Ideally what we want is for that, that pedal axle to be just in front of the base of your little toe.
Right,
Essentially what that does is it puts the centre of the pedal over the ball of your foot, which is the most powerful part of your foot. If you come too far forward, we're kind of in toe region, and it's like, imagine running on your toes. Like it'd be, it's not efficient, it'd be uncomfortable. Like when it's too far forward, the ankle's not supported properly, so you get loads of calf engagement just to try and like stabilise the ankle, and it just ends up, calf can't contribute properly to like power production and that sort of stuff. I don't think we're actually far off.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think where the cleat position is with regards to the right foot, you can see now that it moves nicely up and down that blue line.
Yeah.
So there's no need for any point for that knee to be like the cleat to be pushed inwards or outwards or anything like that. But we can see a lot more obviously now on this side how much the knee drives into the bike. As you can see, it comes up and then it collapses in. So you can see the roll of the knee. So you can see it's outwards there, comes up, rolls in. Yeah, so you can see that just goes over the hole there, and you can see the fatter bits there and the thinner bits that way. And it'll just raise it slightly.
Okay.
I know it doesn't seem like much, but bike fitting really does just come down to millimetres. It has helped. It looks better.
Okay. Feels better. A bit more balance through the pedal.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're pressed against any side of the shoe? Or do you feel like now that left one's been rotated, it feels a little bit more?
I think I'm definitely feel like I'm pressed a bit more hit, like my foot's still pushing that way.
Yeah, you are still kind of pushed into the inside of the shoe. So if I pull all the floats there, and when you naturally want to be, you're pushed against the... I'll do like another small tweak on that just to rotate a little bit more. Obviously, we're limited to a point where we don't want to be brushing the crank.
Yeah.
So there's only really so far we can rotate it, but let's see whether we can get like a couple of degrees of like freedom the other side. So these are the in-shoe wedges I was on about. So they do the exact same thing as the wedges under the cleat, they're just in the shoe.
Okay.
Obviously we've kind of put it to the point where we can with the mountain bike, so the SPD cleat. So let's see whether we can get one of these in.
Okay,
basically raises that foot a little bit more on the side to hopefully create that contact that you're missing.
Yeah. So you've then got the cleat slightly raised on that side and from the underneath, and then that slightly raised from in. Great. The knee feels really good, feels much better.
Yeah. Now the feet are all sorted, we'll move on to the back end of the bike, so do like saddle height, saddle fore aft, that sort of stuff. So I'll find the point that you underextend, mark it off with a bit of electrical tape, and then raise it to the point you're overextending.
Yeah.
And it basically shows you, as well as me, like what underextension feels like. See that like your heel's driving down a little bit as you come down to the bottom of the pedal stroke, and it's almost your subconscious attempt to get more extension.
So if you're doing this basically on the pedal stroke, your saddle's too low probably.
It's definitely an indicator of it. How does that feel through the feet?
Still feel like I've got pressure in the lower part of the stroke.
Let's go up again then. Cool, so now we can see that this is your point of underextension, this is your point of overextension, and we've got this nice window here of where we can play within that you'll be not at risk of like injuring or overextending anything.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll put it smack bang in the middle. Now you know how the two extremes feel, you can then kind of say to me like, oh, I don't know whether I want it a little bit higher, or we can play within that.
Yeah.
How's that feel?
Feels good, feels comfortable.
Yeah, I might just maybe go down a mil or two. You almost want to think of the saddle as like a seesaw. So if this is like your centre of mass and this is the saddle. Too far back and you end up kind of like falling forwards.
Okay.
No, saddle's too far forward, sorry. You end up falling forward. So your like power production's kind of coming at this angle. So the saddle's so far forward, you're like donkey kicking the power.
Yeah.
And it means that there's so much force going through the knee. You're gonna have so many issues. You'd get a lot of like knee pain and stuff like that. When the saddle's too far back, it's not so much it's gonna cause you injury, it's just like inefficient. So like the saddle's like this and you're trying to almost like chase the power.
Yeah.
And when we find the perfect point of where the saddle needs to be over of your centre of gravity, it just balances you. So you should find that when we're on that like prime point, it's light through the hands. So when it's too far back, it'd be like a bit heavy, too far forward, it's really heavy, and then when it's in the perfect point, it's just light. Just kind of what we're after. I think we're actually probably on the game with the saddle fore aft. You can see that like force transfer is kind of like coming down here. Instead of it coming down at this angle or at that angle, we're getting it just coming directly down.
Yeah.
We've made a lot of changes around the feet. Yeah. We've made a huge difference with the saddle height, but saddle fore aft we've not really changed much.
Yeah.
But because we've come up so much, kind of in this direction, the saddle's gone back.
Okay.
So me moving it forward has probably put it where it was before you came in. Yeah. Front end. What I'm going to do is take your stem off, take the pop-our sizing stem on with your bars, and then we can have a proper explore of a range of stem lengths and stuff like that.
Perfect.
So we go too long, too short, find happy medium. Great. It does look very short at the moment and quite high. Yeah. So even if the stem length stays the same, I think we have the scope just to relax maybe in a little bit more to something lower. But let's have a look and see what happens when we change stuff.
Great.
Do not ride. Yeah. It's the fact they had to write it on there. How many people rode with the size of stem
they
on
actually
before?
got it on there?
Yeah. So this will feel 2 centimetres longer than what you're currently used to.
Yeah, this is the part I think that I've struggled with the most. The reach of knowing
what's correct
what's
and
correct. Because I don't know whether it's just me personally being used to coming from riding a town bike that was up here to then down here. It just always feels long. So often when I'm riding a bit further, I'll sit like here or it's more comfortable. But
you want it to be comfortable in the shifters, and you want to be able to ride in the shifters like pain-free, no issues. How does that feel?
It feels okay actually. I actually feel like if you'd told me this was the same as my other ones, then I probably would have believed you.
I'll wind it out to show you what's like overextension.
Yeah.
I think 60 is not bad, to be honest. I think we can maybe go a little bit lower just to relax a little bit more. I think we're a little bit high, but I think 60 is quite a nice length. But let's see what 70 feels like and what 80 feels like, and see at what point you're like,
this is way
where are the bars? So we're wanting to find that like looseness through the hands again. If it feels like pressure's increasing, then we've gone too far. And you want to be able to like free at the elbows. You don't want to be so far that you're like, I literally can't move my elbows. So I'd say that looks quite long visually.
That feels better through the hands as well. Like you said.
That's that like key feeling that we're looking for, is at what point are we lighter through the hands. So now we've kind of reached like an appropriate stem length, and we'll have a look at like stack, so like how many spaces we have underneath, how high or low that you go. Sometimes if we go higher, we can sometimes go a bit longer, and same that if we go shorter, we can sometimes go a bit lower. This movement all just comes hand in hand, but it is easier to find an appropriate stem length first, and then we can play with the height. So I've taken about 5 mil out. So let's see what that does. Again, bike fittings millimetres, so you might think, what's 5 mil going to do? But you'd be surprised how much 5 mil does. How does that height feel?
Definitely feels different.
So if you kind of like hone into the feel of that lightness through the hands, if it's got a little bit more, then I'd probably edge to stick to the height we were at. If you were going to pedal, and I said, let go of the bars, would you headbutt the stem? Right. No, that's
not quite.
You can hear that you had to like increase your pedal stroke a little bit more to hold you up.
That's.
But you couldn't. So that test is like, some people genuinely have such good like control and balance that they can just let go. But it's not everyone. So that's why we tend to hone in on that like hand lightness as opposed to like do some cool tricks and let go of the bars for me. So this is where you were before. So you can see that the shoulder's really high. It's like kind of forced back. And then as we come through to here, you can see we've got a natural bend through the elbow now. The shoulder's a lot more neutral. So if I come through again, you can see it's the back's pan flat. There's no flexion through the back whatsoever. All the shoulders are forced back. The pelt, you can see that feeling of like a bit like town bike, like grounded through the back of the sit bones. And then we come through. We've gone up a little bit. We've got some flexion through the back and through the pelvis now, and a nice bend through the elbow.
Feels a lot better as well. It feels a lot different and a lot better. I think I'm excited to now just go out and cycle in this new position and feel how it actually feels on the bike, like you said, out on the road and over a longer time, and settle into all those little changes that we've made.
So we've made quite a lot of changes, to be honest. A wedge to the cleat, we've added a 4-foot wedge inside the pedal. So we've raised the saddle by about 1 centimetre, which in turn has set the saddle back a little bit as well. So we've had to bring the saddle forward a little bit. Essentially doing that, we've then gone lower and longer because we've brought you up and back. But we've actually now gone 2 centimetres. We've actually didn't need that anyway, 2 centimetres longer at the front. And essentially lower because we've obviously raised the saddle. It's that kind of thing of, as you like relax into, as you get longer, the arms can just naturally be where they want to be. We've essentially changed everything. We've done a good job of going over all of it, but hopefully it feels solid and strong and good to you and efficient, and nothing's like red flag, like I don't like the feel of that. Give it a ride and let me know how it goes.
Looking forward to that. But it's been great, and it feels like a different bike. Like it really does. Feels completely different. And I think all that stuff, stuff that you just put up with, where you're like, oh, that's a little bit uncomfortable, but I don't think I'll ever get rid of that, because just maybe part of how I'm built and how I ride. Get to a point now where I feel really comfortable in like all areas of the bike. So I'm just excited to get out and see how I get on.
I think coming into cycling as a woman, especially if you come like into it as like if you've already got like a group of friends who ride, you almost get sucked into it a little bit quicker. Whereas if you're coming into it as like not really knowing anyone, like a newbie, like it can be a scary place for a woman to ride a bike. Like Group rides are like lovely. Most of the men are really nice, but to go in thinking, oh my God, I'm the only woman is quite terrifying. I think the thing to think is that cycling's equally as much for women as it is for men. And like, just because you think you're a novice or you've just started, like a bike fit's always beneficial. Just find a bike fitter that you trust, that you feel comfortable with, whether you can find another female bike fitter and just come in and just get it all sorted and just enjoy cycling. Like, no saddle is a men's saddle, no saddle's a women's saddle, no specific bars are for women. Like, bike fits are very much the individual, and we work just with the individual. So yeah, don't be put off for getting stuff done because you feel like you don't have a place in the cycling community, because you definitely do.
What she said.
And cut.
A small little feature at the end for me. But yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much, Sian, for taking us through this.
Thank you.
It's been really fun. And yeah, if you're a female cyclist, leave a comment down below. Let us know that you're here, and let us know if you've got any frustrations in the industry, or if there's any other videos that you'd like us to make. But I hope that you've enjoyed this one. We hope that you've enjoyed this one, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!